The Sufis have a strange and beautiful secret. To become truly motivated, you must first embrace absolute surrender. To find your strength, you must first acknowledge your weakness. This sounds like a contradiction, a paradox designed to confuse the logical mind. But I invite you to consider that within this very paradox lies the most powerful and perhaps the most misunderstood engine for a meaningful life ever discovered. We live in a civilization of relentless striving. From the moment we wake, we are bombarded with messages that tell us to hustle, to grind, to force our will upon the world. We are taught that motivation is a fire we must personally stoke, a muscle we must constantly flex. We chart our goals, we optimize our schedules, we drink the caffeinated fuel of ambition, and we push. We push against our own exhaustion. We push against the indifference of the world. We push against the silent, creeping feeling that perhaps we are running in the wrong direction. And what is the result of all this pushing? For so many of us, it is a profound and soul-deep exhaustion. It is burnout. It is a quiet anxiety that hums beneath the surface of our days. The fear that our personal wellspring of energy will one day simply run dry, leaving us stranded and empty. We treat our life's purpose like a fortress to be conquered, laying siege to it with our willpower alone. But the great masters of the heart, the Sufi sages of old, would look upon our struggle with the deepest compassion and gently suggest we've mistaken the nature of the quest. They would tell us that the endless pursuit of self-generated motivation is like trying to quench a thirst by drinking salt water. The more you drink, the thirstier you become. They offer a different path, not of conquering, but of homecoming, not a force, but a flow. This journey we are about to embark on is an exploration of that path. It is an invitation to lay down the heavy armor of the ego, the part of us that believes it is the sole captain of its ship, and to discover the vast, powerful ocean current that has been waiting to carry us all along. This is not a path of lazy resignation or passive defeat. It is a path of dynamic, intelligent, and active surrender. It is the discovery that the source of all energy, all creativity, all purpose, does not reside within our own limited and easily depleted reserves, but flows from an infinite source. To connect with it, we must learn the forgotten art of getting out of our own way. We must learn the secret power hidden in the heart of surrender. To understand this profound shift, we must first meet the architect of our exhaustion, the self, or what the Sufis call the nafs. The nafs is that insistent voice in our head, the ego self that believes it is a separate entity, a solitary commander fighting a lonely battle against the universe. It is this self that believes motivation is its personal responsibility. It wakes up in the morning and says, I must generate the will to succeed. I must find the strength to overcome. My power is finite, and I must guard it jealously. This constant, anxious monologue is the root of our spiritual fatigue. The nafs operates under a grand illusion, the illusion of control. It looks at the vast, unpredictable ocean of existence and believes it can command the winds and the tides with its own frantic paddling. Imagine a man in a small rowboat in the middle of the Pacific. He paddles with all his might, his muscles screaming, his brow sweating, and when the boat moves, he proudly proclaims, "Look at what I have done. My effort is moving me across this great sea." He is so focused on his own rowing that he fails to notice the colossal deep ocean current that is actually carrying him, boat and all, toward his destination. His frantic effort contributes only a little, but his belief that he is solely responsible for the journey creates immense stress and steals the joy of the voyage.
This is our state. We are in the grip of this illusion, believing our own small, separate power is all we have. The 13th century Andalusian master Ibn Arabi offered a revolutionary perspective to dissolve this illusion. He spoke of waqdat al-wujud, the oneness of being. This is not a mere philosophical concept. It is a description of reality. It suggests that there is only one fundamental existence, one indivisible reality, and everything we see, everything we are, is a manifestation, a wave on the surface of that single ocean. You are not a separate rower fighting the sea. You are the sea itself, expressing itself for a time as a wave. The great poet Rumi, whose work is a beautiful echo of this truth, famously said, "You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop." When this truth begins to dawn in the heart, the entire paradigm of motivation shifts. The goal is no longer to generate power from within our separate self, but to align ourself with the power that is already flowing through everything. Surrender, then, is not an act of giving up. It is an act of waking up. It is the supremely intelligent act of ceasing our futile, exhausting struggle against the current and learning to flow with it. It is the realization that the same power that spins the galaxies and germinates a seed in the dark earth is the very same power that beats our heart and breathes through our lungs. Why would we rely on our own tiny battery when we can plug into the cosmic grid? This leads us to the second pillar of this beautiful paradox, the power of what the Sufis call faqr. Translated literally, faqr means poverty. In our modern context, this word carries a negative charge, suggesting lack and destitution. But in the spiritual lexicon of the Sufis, faqr is a station of immense power and honor. It does not refer to material poverty, but to spiritual poverty, the profound, lived realization of our own emptiness and utter dependence on the divine source. It is the acknowledgement that of ourselves we have nothing. Every breath is a gift. Every idea is an inspiration from beyond our own mind. Every ounce of strength is a loan from an infinite treasury. The ego, the nafs, despises this idea. It wants to be rich, to be self-sufficient, to be the source of its own glory. It builds walls of pride, knowledge, and self-reliance. But these walls, meant to protect us, become our prison. They cut us off from the very source of life we seek. The Sufi path teaches that true strength is found not in reinforcing these walls, but in courageously dismantling them. It is found in embracing our own nothingness. The great scholar and mystic Al-Ghazali stands as a testament to this truth. He was a man at the pinnacle of intellectual achievement, a celebrated professor whose mind was a fortress of knowledge. Yet he experienced a profound spiritual crisis, a deep inner knowing that his intellectual wealth had become a veil, a barrier to a deeper truth. He abandoned his prestigious career, his fame, his security, and embarked on a journey into the wilderness of faqr. He chose emptiness, and in that emptiness he found a knowing that his books could never provide. He found God.
Think of a cup. A cup that is already full of stale water cannot receive the fresh, pure wine that is being offered. To be filled with the divine, the cup must first be empty. Our weakness, our acknowledged neediness, is this sacred emptiness. When we have the courage to say, "I do not know. I cannot do this alone. I am in need," we are not admitting defeat, we are opening the door. We are creating a vacuum into which the grace, the strength, and the guidance of the universe can rush. This is the secret of true motivation. The person who believes they are full, who relies solely on their own ego strength, is operating from a finite resource that will inevitably be depleted. They will burn out. But the person who lives in a state of faqr,
who sees themselves as a hollow reed, becomes a flute through which the divine musician can play a beautiful melody. Their actions are no longer fueled by anxious personal ambition, but by a joyous, boundless inspiration that flows through them. They are not the originator of the music, they are the privileged instrument. This motivation does not drain them, it fills them, it enlivens them because its source is not their own. They have found the spring that never runs dry. Now, a crucial clarification must be made, for the modern mind immediately recoils at this talk of surrender and emptiness, fearing it to be a call for passivity, for laziness, for a fatalistic resignation to whatever happens. This is the most common and dangerous misinterpretation of this profound wisdom. The Sufi path is not one of inaction. It is the path of perfect and beautiful action, free from the poison of anxiety. This is where we encounter the third great secret, Tawakkul, or absolute trust in the divine. Tawakkul is often described as the art of active surrender. It is best understood as a bird with two wings, which must beat in perfect harmony for the bird to fly. The first wing is effort. The second wing is trust. You are absolutely required to use the first wing. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, gave us the perfect illustration of this principle. A man once came to him and asked if he should tie his camel or trust in God to keep it safe. The Prophet's reply was the essence of Tawakkul. Tie your camel first, and then trust in God. This is the resolution of the paradox. Surrender does not mean sitting in the desert and waiting for a camel to appear. It means you must find the rope. You must know the knot. You must tether your camel securely to the post. You must do everything that is rationally and humanly in your power to do. You must study for the exam. You must prepare for the interview. You must practice your craft. You must engage with the world with excellence, with what is known as ihsan, to do everything as if you could see God. You must fully and completely engage the wing of effort. But once you have tied your camel, once you have done everything you can possibly do, you must then, with equal commitment, engage the second wing, trust. You must let go of the outcome completely. You release your white-knuckled grip on the results, entrusting them to a wisdom far greater than your own. You accept that you control your effort, but you do not control the harvest. You plant the seed, you water the soil, you pull the weeds, but you do not command the sun to shine or the rain to fall. That is an act of trust. This is the liberation. Our modern anxiety comes from trying to do both parts of the equation. We tie our camel, and then we stay up all night worrying about the rope, worrying about thieves, worrying about sandstorms. We exhaust ourselves by trying to control the uncontrollable. The path of Tawakkul invites us to a radical division of labor. Do your part with absolute diligence, and then allow the universe, God, the divine, to do its part.
When you live this way, your motivation is purified. Action is no longer a desperate attempt to manipulate reality. It becomes an act of love, an act of worship, a dialogue with the divine. You work, you create, you strive not because you are terrified of failure, but because the act of striving itself is a beautiful expression of your humanity and your partnership with the source of all life. The outcome is no longer a measure of your worth, but simply the next chapter in a story written by a wiser author. Whether you perceive the result as success or failure, you trust that it is precisely the lesson your soul needs to learn. This removes the paralyzing fear of failure that cripples so many of us. If you trust that the outcome is always in the hands of a compassionate and all-wise power, then there is no such thing as a true catastrophe. There are only plot twists, detours, and unexpected lessons on the path back to the source. And with that fear removed, what is left? A pure, unburdened, joyous energy to simply do the work, to engage with life, to tie your camel with a peaceful heart, and then to watch the stars, knowing that the caravan is in greater hands than your own. This is not weakness. This is the ultimate strength. It is the quiet, unshakable confidence of the wave that knows it is one with the ocean. Now, let us bring this ancient idea from the realm of the heart into the living reality of your own breath. I invite you to join me in a brief contemplation. There is no need to change your posture. Simply allow your attention to turn inward. Gently, bring to mind one area of your life where you feel the strain of constant pushing. It might be a career goal, a project you are pouring your heart into, a relationship you are trying to mend, or a personal habit you are struggling to change. Just choose one. Feel the texture of that struggle. Notice the tension it creates in your body, perhaps in your shoulders, your jaw, your stomach. This tension is the feeling of rowing against the current, of trying to control the uncontrollable. Acknowledge it without judgment. Now, let us bring the two wings of Tawakkul to this situation. First, visualize the wing of effort. In your mind's eye, see all the work you have done. Honor it. Acknowledge your dedication, your sleepless nights, your focused energy, your persistent heart. See this effort not as a desperate struggle, but as a beautiful offering you have placed on the altar of your life. This is you tying your camel. Feel a sense of gentle pride and completeness in this effort. You have done your part. Breathe into that. Now, with your next breath, I want you to feel the other wing beginning to move, the wing of trust. Gently, consciously, visualize yourself releasing the outcome of this situation. Picture yourself placing the future of this project, this goal, this relationship, into a pair of vast, luminous, and infinitely compassionate hands. It is no longer your burden to carry. It is no longer your responsibility to determine the final result. Feel the weight lifting from your shoulders as you perform this simple, sacred act of surrender.
Breathe. Your only task now is to keep showing up, to keep tending the garden while trusting the grand design of the seasons. The effort is yours. The outcome is not. Notice the quiet, spacious power that resides in this balance. This is not emptiness in the sense of lack. This is the potent, creative emptiness of a clear sky, ready for the sun to rise. Rest in this feeling for a moment. This is the birthplace of effortless motivation. We began this journey with a paradox, that in surrender lies strength, and in acknowledging weakness lies power. Now we can see the truth shimmering at its heart. The relentless, ego-driven chase for motivation is a cage of our own making. It condemns us to a life of anxious effort, forever fueled by the fear of not being enough, of not doing enough. The strength we seek is not a treasure to be won through force of will. It is a homecoming. It is the discovery that we are not solitary soldiers, but beloved participants in a grand cosmic dance. Our weakness, our faqr, is not a flaw to be hidden, but a sacred key that unlocks the door to an infinite source of strength. It is the password that grants us access to the universal treasury. Our surrender, our tawakkul, is not a declaration of defeat, but the highest form of courage. It is the courage to trust the intelligence of the ocean, to trust the journey, and to trust that the one who created our heart knows best how to guide it. True motivation, then, is not a feeling we must conjure up each morning. It is the natural, inevitable consequence of alignment. When we align our small will with the greater will, when we empty our cup so that it may be filled, when we tie our camel and then trust in the journey, an energy begins to flow through us that is not our own. It is calm, it is persistent, it is creative, and it is joyful. It does not burn us out. It burns away all that is not us. It is the energy of purpose itself. So stop acting so small. Stop believing that you are only the tired rower in the tiny boat. You are the wind, the water, the stars, and the unwavering light that guides the way. Your greatest strength will not be found in the flexing of your will, but in the quiet, powerful grace of its surrender. For in that surrender, you do not lose yourself. You finally and truly find yourself. You find that you are, and have always been, the entire ocean in a single magnificent drop.